Well, most developing country cities are very compact. Most developing country cities tend to be high density. They are compact, but they are extremely dangerous for cyclists, well, and even to pedestrians. So we need sidewalks, high quality sidewalks, and protected bicycle ways. High quality protected bicycle ways serve two functions. First, they protect cyclists, and also they raise the social status of cyclists. Most of the cyclists in developing world cities will be lower income citizens who can save up to 20% of their income using the bicycle. But bicycles have a stigma. They are identified with being for the poor. So a high quality protected bicycle way is also a symbol that shows that a citizen on a $30 bicycle is equally important to one on a $30,000 car. I am sure that if the Netherlands or Denmark, which have higher income per capita than the United States, where there is winter and a lot of rain, they can move almost 40% of people by bicycles. Developing world cities, which tend to have better weather, should at least be able to move 20% of people by bicycle. Something which is important to point out is that even in giant cities such as Delhi or Mumbai or Shanghai or Sao Paulo or Bogotá, more than half of the population lives less than 5%. It's important to point out that even in giant cities such as Shanghai or Mumbai or Delhi or Karachi or Bogotá or Rio, more than half of the population lives less than 5 kilometers away from work or from study. So even when it seems that in very large cities it's not possible for bikes to be important, it's not true, because many trips could be done by bicycle, even in giant city, if there was the right infrastructure. The issue is political. The issue is political. If all citizens are equal before the law, as the Constitution says, then a citizen on a bicycle has the same right to road space than one in a car. So the first thing to do is to take the space used for car parking, curbside parking in the streets, to make great quality protected bicycle ways.
Do you have to change the social stigma? You mentioned the fact that wealthy people want to show off their wealth by sitting in their very expensive car. How do you go about changing that? Is that something that has to change before we can have bicycle-friendly cities that apply to almost everybody?
Well, as most education process, you need the carrot and the stick. So I think you can do first to restrict car use, to restrict parking, to restrict parking first in streets and then even in private spaces, such as in London. But also you have to improve very much the quality of bicycle infrastructure. This means, before anything else, great, high quality, protected bicycle ways. Ideally, you should also have some kind of bicycle highways, super bicycle highways, 10, 15 meter wide, bicycle and pedestrian only roads going across cities. But also you will need later more and more parking spaces. You will need rules that forces buildings to allow bicycles in elevators and such things.
Are there any cities that are good examples that have applied bicycle regulations, bicycle infrastructure? I mean, you mentioned Bogotá in some cases. Are there any others that spring to mind as fine examples?
Well, clearly the great examples always were China, where this has lost importance, the Netherlands and Denmark, some German cities, but more and more over the last almost 5 years only, this has become more and more important. But we have yet to see a city which really, in a massive, systematic way, takes away space from cars parked in the streets and makes high quality, very high quality, protected bicycle ways. Unfortunately, I don't see any examples of this. In Bogotá, we were maybe the first, at least in Latin America, to do something significant around 1999, 98. And now we have almost 500 kilometers of protected bicycle ways. We increased from almost 0 to about 5% of the population using bicycles. But this is still way short of what can and should be done. But what is clear is that if you have great bicycle infrastructure, people will respond immediately. If you provide great infrastructure, connecting important origins and destinations, you will have a lot of people using bicycles.
Are there any cities that you wouldn't cycle? You'd be too frightened to cycle?
Well, many developing world cities are very dangerous for pedestrians and bicyclists. Even the issue is not where I would cycle, but where we would have our 10-year-old son or daughter cycle. And unfortunately, the issue is not where I would cycle in a dangerous city. The issue is whether we will have our 10-year-old son or daughter bicycle. And unfortunately, most cities in the world, even in the advanced world, are very dangerous, because even if you have 1 million cars being respectful and not running over the bicycles, you may have 1,000,001 who actually does something crazy. So I do not agree with this philosophy that you can just share road space between bicycles and cars, or even that you can have painted lanes. No, you have to have physically protected bicycle ways, the same way you have sidewalks. You cannot just trust that the drivers will be responsible, because it's a matter of someone's life.